What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We've got a packed update today, so let's jump right in, starting with what could be next for Sean O'Malley following his performance at UFC 324. While O'Malley did manage to walk away with an important victory, it wasn't the type of win that immediately silences critics or adds another viral highlight to his resume. That's why the big question right now is simple: where does he go from here? Before we dive deeper, make sure to drop a like on the video if you enjoy these updates. It really helps support the channel and keeps this content coming daily. Early in the fight, it actually looked like Song Yadong had a legitimate chance to pull off the upset. He came forward aggressively, applied constant pressure, and even managed to secure a couple of takedowns that had fans wondering whether O'Malley might be in trouble. However, as the rounds went on, the momentum started to shift. O'Malley found his rhythm, began landing cleaner shots, and gradually started to wear Yadong down with volume and precision. By the third round, the pace noticeably favored O'Malley as Yadong slowed, and when the final horn sounded after 3 rounds, O'Malley was awarded the decision victory. Following the fight, O'Malley didn't waste much time making his intentions known. He publicly stated that he would like another shot at the champion, Petr Yan, while also acknowledging that he understood if the UFC decided to go in a different direction and book Merab Dvalishvili instead. That naturally sparked debate among fans, analysts, and the MMA community as a whole. Would the UFC give O'Malley another title opportunity, or would they prioritize someone else? After the event, Dana White was asked directly about O'Malley's performance and whether a title shot was even on the table at this point. His response, however, didn't give a clear answer. White explained that his focus had been elsewhere, mentioning upcoming projects and events, and emphasized that fight cards were already booked well into the coming months. In short, he made it clear that no immediate decisions had been made regarding O'Malley's next move. As for O'Malley himself, he struck a noticeably humble tone when speaking to the media. He admitted that winning had once felt automatic to him, and that experiencing losses changed his perspective. Coming off those setbacks, he explained how meaningful it felt to get his hand raised again. When asked whether he would be willing to wait for a potential title opportunity or fight someone else in the meantime, O'Malley made it clear that he was comfortable waiting if the UFC decided to book a different matchup first. So the question remains, could the UFC still tap O'Malley for another fight with Yan, even though his UFC 324 victory wasn't dominant? That remains to be seen. Meanwhile, Song Yadong reacted to the loss on social media, keeping things brief and positive by thanking fans and assuring everyone that he was doing fine. Shifting gears, let's move on to the highly anticipated recap of Paddy Pimblett versus Justin Gaethje. Last night, fans witnessed a high-intensity battle that delivered exactly what many were hoping for. As expected, Gaethje came out pressing forward aggressively, throwing heavy punches and keeping the pressure constant. While he didn't immediately lean on his trademark leg kicks early in the fight, his presence alone kept Pimblett on high alert. Pimblett was dropped multiple times throughout the contest, including a moment that followed what appeared to be an eye poke. Despite those setbacks, Pimblett showed toughness, continued firing back, and landed several solid shots of his own. As the rounds progressed, it became increasingly clear that heading into the final round, Pimblett likely needed a finish to secure the win. Although he gave it everything he had, that finish never came, and Gaethje earned the victory on all 3 judges' scorecards. After the fight concluded, Dana White revealed that both fighters would be taken to the hospital as a precaution. He openly praised Pimblett's durability, admitting that he hadn't realized just how tough Pimblett's chin was before that night. White described the bout as a full-scale war and emphasized the respect he had for both competitors. Gaethje, for his part, reportedly brushed off concerns, saying he'd been through battles like this before. During his post-fight interview, Gaethje also shared what he said to Pimblett inside the Octagon once the fight was over. Gaethje explained that he wanted to finish the fight, but also felt that Pimblett had important lessons to learn. He recounted telling Pimblett that his mindset entering the fight was flawed, particularly his confidence regarding how the fight would affect him physically. Gaethje emphasized that fighters must be willing to accept the worst possible outcome to truly perform at their best, adding that false confidence can be dangerous and often leads to hard lessons inside the cage. With Gaethje now holding the interim title, attention immediately turned to what comes next for him. The most obvious name that surfaced was the undisputed champion Ilia Topuria. If Topuria is ready to return this summer, a showdown with Gaethje on the White House card would make perfect sense. Gaethje himself made a strong case for appearing on that card during the post-fight press conference, explaining that while he took damage, MMA allows fighters time to recover. He made it clear that unless something extreme happened, he fully intended to compete on that historic card. If Topuria isn't ready to fight soon, other possibilities emerge. One option that's been discussed is Arman Tsarukyan stepping in as a challenger. Another scenario floated by Gaethje involves the winner of Max Holloway's next fight potentially meeting him for the belt. No matter which direction the UFC goes, Gaethje has made it clear that he wants to stay active and capitalize on the momentum from his latest performance. As for Pimblett, his future is a bit less defined. He could take time off to recover, or the UFC could capitalize on existing tension by booking him against Tsarukyan, given the ongoing feud between the two. That matchup could make sense while Topuria and Gaethje handle business elsewhere. Speaking of Topuria, he didn't hold back when reacting to the Gaethje versus Pimblett fight on social media. Taking direct shots at Pimblett, Topuria mocked the loss and suggested that Pimblett missed out on the biggest payday of his career. He congratulated Gaethje but also warned him that regardless of the outcome, trouble awaits. Now, let's address the controversy that followed the fight. The MMA community erupted after replays appeared to show Gaethje poking Pimblett in the eye early in the contest. The referee issued a stern warning, stating that another offense would result in a point deduction. Later in the fight, another eye poke occurred, this time involving Gaethje's thumb. It went unnoticed by the referee, and shortly after Gaethje dropped Pimblett, fans were furious. Many took to social media accusing Gaethje of cheating and calling out the officiating. Numerous comments flooded timelines criticizing the lack of a point deduction and arguing that the second eye poke drastically altered the course of the fight. Some fans claimed the UFC failed to protect fighters, while others demanded accountability from both the referee and the promotion. The visible damage to Pimblett's eye only fueled the outrage further. Some fans insisted that the second eye poke should have resulted in a stoppage or at least a pause to assess the damage. Others went as far as saying the entire fight was compromised. The debate quickly became one of the most heated discussions following the event. That brings us to another major update involving UFC news. A previously scheduled bout between Michael Johnson and Alexander Hernandez was abruptly pulled from the card, leaving fans confused. Dana White later confirmed that the cancellation was due to suspicious betting activity. According to White, the Gaming Integrity Service alerted the UFC, prompting them to remove the fight immediately. He added that the FBI is already deeply involved in related matters, and it's likely that an investigation will follow. When asked what happens next for the fighters involved, White admitted that he didn't yet have answers. At this point, it's unclear whether both fighters will be sidelined or if the situation affects only one side. Next up, Dana White also addressed complaints from fans regarding the abundance of advertisements during the first Paramount card. Viewers expressed frustration over ads playing during walkouts and even corner work. White responded by stating that the broadcast format is still a work in progress and reminded fans that the cost is significantly lower than traditional pay-per-view events. He emphasized that revenue still needs to be generated and adjustments may come with time. On a related note, Ariel Helwani recently reported that the upcoming June 14th White House card will feature no sponsors on the Octagon or canvas. This revelation raised questions about how the cage will look, especially given that sponsor logos often help conceal blood during fights. The absence of those logos could make for a very different visual presentation. Dana White also responded to comments made by Conor McGregor regarding his UFC contract. McGregor previously claimed that his deal was effectively void due to the UFC's move away from pay-per-view. When asked about it, White stated that he hadn't heard those comments and didn't believe renegotiations were underway. Moving on to newly announced fights, MMA Junkies Nolan King reported that welterweights Jeff Neal and Uros Medic are set to face off at the UFC's February 28th event in Houston. Neal is looking to bounce back after a tough loss, while Medic enters the bout riding a 2-fight winning streak. In additional matchmaking news, Marcel Dorff revealed that Dustin Jacoby will face Julius Walker at the UFC's February 7th card in Las Vegas after a previous bout fell through due to injury. Dorff also reported that undefeated flyweights Andre Lima and Dong Hyun Choi will meet at UFC 327 in Miami on April 11th. Dana White also addressed speculation, suggesting he no longer cares about running the UFC. In a recent interview, White dismissed those claims, explaining that a single interview was taken out of context. He reaffirmed his commitment to the organization and insisted that fans would see his continued involvement in the coming years. Finally, Michael Chandler spoke about what might be next for him following comments from Dana White regarding Conor McGregor's return. Chandler admitted the situation has been an emotional roller coaster, but said he's still holding on to hope. If the McGregor fight doesn't happen, Chandler mentioned that he's open to facing the winner of Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway or potentially Armen Tsarukyan. Chandler emphasized that while he understands the realities of the sport, he's eager for big fights and believes his most recent performance didn't fully reflect his abilities. Whether the UFC capitalizes on existing storylines or charts a new course remains to be seen, and that's going to wrap things up for today's update. Make sure to subscribe, turn on notifications, and check back tomorrow for more MMA news and reactions.